recording, or do I need to record it? This call is being recorded. It's already recording. All right. So we're going to get started. As some of you have already heard, my name is Scott Loomis. I work for Tech for Learning. I am a former educator, or I'm a former teacher. I guess once an educator, always an educator. I taught 8 years in the classroom in both elementary and middle school, and then 6 years as a district level integration specialist. Very similar, for instance, what Carrie does with Anne Arundel County. Never, ever thought I'd leave the school district. Had a close friend encourage me to talk to Tech for Learning, or the people who make Wixie. And about 10 minutes or 5 minutes into a 10-minute conversation, I was like, okay, this is ridiculously cool. I want to be part of this. And back in those days, for those of you who want to join me, it was Pixie, if you've been around a while. And Pixie was the installed version. It grew out of an image blender product that was more elementary. So Pixie became the elementary side of that. And then we went web-based it was a long time ago, 2014, maybe 2016. It's been a while. And again, if you're new to Wixie or someone new, just know that there is no save button in Wixie. Wixie saves automatically every 15 or 20 seconds all by itself. For us old people, again, we used to train the kids to save and save often, put timers on the screen, and every time it went off, you'd have to save to be sure you don't lose your work and start crying. So there we go. Yeah, Carrie's feeling it too back with Pixie. And you should know that there is no Dropbox. Anything your students do will automatically be made available for you to see. So we got a couple kindergarten teachers in the house. I mean, they log into Wixie. If you've assigned them a template, it'll be the first thing they see at the top of their page. And then when they're done, they just log out. So we're talking about time on task. There's not a lot of time navigating or playing with the technology as far as you get in, do your assessment, demonstrate your knowledge, and then you exit out. So you're looking at using Wixie to differentiate by product, lose those most of the time, almost always boring worksheets, and have the kids demonstrate, same lesson objective, their knowledge in Wixie. And if the lesson plan has you using or working, has the students working on the worksheet for 15 minutes, that's all you got in Wixie. So again, if you kind of simplify things, quick in, quick out, auto save, auto drop, those things can really work in your favor. Now, I have kind of a checklist of things I want to move through, but like the last section, and with Carrie coming in and out, and I got 2 monitors working, if you have a question, just type it. Just add it in. If you want to raise your hand, you may have to still ping me. I don't know why I didn't really see the raise the hand thing as easy earlier this morning, but I'm happy to answer your questions as we go. Don't save them to the end. Jump on in. It's all good. I'm completely comfortable with that. So for those of you who've used Wixie in the past, or those of you who used Wixie, which includes using Wixie in the past, but not so new to it this year, or not so active this year, know that there were some changes this summer with the interface. And of course, for those of you completely new, then this is new to you. The big change occurs kind of up top. We used to have the new button and then students. In fact, I think students was here and new was here. You would access your student work, but there was also assignments down here, which you can access student work from as well. So we've actually done this into, we kind of moved it around and put them together. You can see everything the students have ever done from the students tab. But if you want to look at one assignment and just go kid by kid for that assignment, you can do that under the assignment section. You can search for pretty much anything you might be looking for, from existing templates to integration lesson ideas to whatnot, from this task or this search bar here. And we also brought everything that we have on Wixie as far as an integration tool into the program. We do a big summer update every June. Before the big summer update, we had a lot of resources on our website. We have some in different blogs and different information here and there. So you may have to go to 2 or 3 sources to find them. Everything about Wixie that we have as far as support goes is now in the Learning Center. And again, we still have resources offline if you don't have a Wixie account, but everything you may want to look for is under the Learning Center. Now, I've opened it up, but I want to preface or point out 2 things. First, you definitely, going into the Learning Center, want to go to the center settings and set your grade levels. And I only stopped at 8, but definitely, we got the CTE teacher. I would do like maybe 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You do a range, but if I teach 3rd grade, I'm going to do like 2, 3, and 4, just to see a little higher, a little easier, which I may use based on the ability of my students and or the specific activity involved. Am I a classroom teacher, computer teacher, and library media instructional coach? Now, what's nice about that is when you choose your grade levels and say go down to lesson ideas, which are just a scroll down, we see a bunch of different lesson ideas, some of the newest stuff here, but then we see the different subject areas. Now, because I did K-8, when I go ahead and click on language arts, for instance, it's going to give me K-8, where if you have that small grade narrowing down, you just see what's appropriate for you. So these are basically kind of lesson plans, some in great detail, like observation quality, others just a kind of few steps as far as what's involved. So I love the create a book bento. I don't even know what that is. So I'm going to open it up, create a book bento. A bento box is a Japanese version. Okay, I got you. With each meal, and the book bento template. All right, that's not too shabby. I kind of like that idea. So I could click here to get the template from within Wixie, but this was just one idea. Back it up, and I'm looking for another idea. If you're getting ready to plan for a unit, whether that be science, language arts, math, or whatnot, go into science here. You can kind of go through. In fact, we have an 8th grade science person. Let me see if this works. There was a little bug on it. I'll do 9, 6, 7, 8, 9 update. Here we go. Okay, so just stuff, role of gravity, exploring geoscience processes, atomic composition. Let's look at that. All right, design a model composition. Okay, design a model, and there's the link to the template. All right, so it will help you search. It will help you give some ideas. So as you're planning, you could kind of do a search and see what's available and see if that'll fit in at any part within your unit assessment activities. And I'm going to go ahead because I took it off and that's going to just mess me up. I'm going to bring back my settings so it doesn't show up blank next time. The other thing I would do within this setting is to register for our monthly news emails. If a company is emailing you without your permission, they're actually breaking the law. It became very clear in the spring that companies cannot email you without your consent. They can't just say, oh, again, if you sign up for something and you didn't uncheck or check a box, that's just bad attitude. But if you want a monthly email of what's new, maybe some new integration ideas, maybe some lesson themes, we usually do stuff related to the month as far as holidays or seasons or whatnot. So primary grades, intermediate grades, you're going to go ahead and sign up. It's just a simple, give us your email and you're good to go. So nothing too fancy, but you will not receive emails unless you actually sign up for them. So please consider doing that, especially if you're in like a EEE role, or not EEE, but you're in an e-coach role where you might be sharing, you could then share newsletter components with your colleagues. All right, a little bit of kind of, I don't want to say fluff, but a little bit of extra stuff around the side. Now we're ready to dig into the productivity side. I have returned to our homepage. You can see the Learning Center, returned to our homepage. And although I could go to New, which allows me to choose a portrait or landscape, I could have also just said paint a picture, which was here. Make a book, which the make a book templates are kind of nice. There we go. And these are great because when you show the project, it's turning pages. It's like an ebook. So we can see that this has 2, 4, 5, 6 pages in our storyboard here on the left. I can select these and press delete from the keyboard to get rid of pages. I can select them and use the ellipsis dots to duplicate. So you can modify the template based on what's going on before you sign it to a student, or allow them to, of course, modify it on their own. Return back to homepage. Can also start off with a project by taking a photo. This could be a geometric shape around the room if they're doing that, types of quadrilaterals or just shapes in general for like our kindergarten kids, circles, triangles, squares. It could easily be a picture of a science project, science experiment. You're doing a science experiment. Let's take it different stages as you're constructing things. Also, I like kids taking pictures of math work. Believe it or not, there's one question in math that's the most dreaded of all, and that is to, drum roll please, most of you may know it, but to explain your mathematical thinking. And the worksheets are brilliant. They give like 2 lines at the bottom, and you need to explain your mathematical thinking in like 12 words or less. It's like, oh, give me a break. And the kids never know what to write. I like if they do a problem to take a picture of it and let them use the audio recording in Wixie to explain how they solved it. And what's wonderful about the audio recording, which I'll touch on more in a bit, is it can last to 5 minutes in length on each page. So it's not like they have to do as fast as they can because they only have 20 seconds to record. They can ramble on with their thoughts and go into much detail or as little detail as they desire, which also, again, gives you an accurate picture of their understanding of that content. So again, taking pictures, art projects, if you're an art teacher, you bump into them and say, oh, you should really consider Wixie like for portfolios. To take a picture of the art, add that audio, kind of reflection. This is the artist I emulated. This is what I like about this artistic style. So I don't like about it, so on and so forth. They can add to it all year. And Wixie rolls things over. So if you have 5th graders, the students will actually open up their accounts and you'll see work from 4, 3, 2, 1, and probably K, because Anna Randall's been using it that long. So if it's a art portfolio to roll over, if it's STEM or STEAM, I would imagine even a CTE mentality. You can have them have all their projects through the course of their years with you. And of course, we start to look at like ESL kids, talking different types of learning, SEL, activities. We're looking at fluency, speech, whatever. What's wonderful is this now starts to provide an artifact that you can compare over time. So little steps that you see day in, day out turn into big stretches or monster steps when you start to compare it years at a time, second grade to third grade, so on and so forth. So that was just take a photo. You can also start with Toxies, which I'm going to get into a little bit. So the only reason I would go to new would be to do a portrait one because it only does landscape. You can also upload PDF files. If you're going to be lame and you want to bring in a PDF of a worksheet to then modify, which now you're not being so lame, but you want to do a little bit more to it, you can bring in that PDF file and then modify it in Wixie, maybe add an extra page for, like I said, audio recording or another component or whatnot. And you can also create folders from new. So you can see I'm a little type A. I like my new files organized. And all the movement happens through the ellipsis dots. My moving into different folders, you can share it, you can assign it, you can do things like that. But I created the files and I moved them in, so I'm a little more organized. Yes, your kids can do this as well, but I got to be honest, why? The only time we see kids get really worried about organization is because their teacher likes it really nice and neat. The newest file that they've worked on will always appear on the top. So for me, this was done this morning. I just opened it up a couple minutes ago, actually. This one hasn't been opened in over 2 years. That's just how it works with my inbox. So, you can organize, your students can too, but I have to question necessarily why, unless you're just, the kids want it too. I am going to paint a picture after all that explanation. Wixie at its basics, as most of you know, is a paint draw program. There is nothing that sets Wixie apart from others in the paint draw program. I know you can have a paint draw program that, wow, this is so much better than everything else. They're all kind of the same. And I'm going to go ahead and get something down on the page. I should point out that any time you see an arrow, it means options. And I tell my kids, arrows mean options. There are 10 brush strokes, maybe 11 actually. There are, if you're more than a 14 color person, the million color box. And you can do a shade when you choose brown, you can shade it. But other than that, you can choose really specific. There are symmetry options. There's all sorts of things. There's spray can, paint bucket is a filling. I happen to like the spray can. You actually can spray things on the pages if you're painting them. You can roll animal tracks. Sound effects are optional, of course. When I go to my arrows for options for spray can, I happen to see a nature folder here. And lo and behold, I kind of knew that was there. There's fall leaves. I'm going to back up because right now I'm doing itty bitty leaves, which I can undo. Bottom right, bring it up, and I now am painting leaves. So what's wonderful is the tools are kind of, and I could smudge it too since we're on a roll, make it look like there's trunks coming in the ground. That's a super smudge. They're all pretty straightforward, and what you can do with them. The most important thing to know, unless someone's hiding on me here and didn't report it, none of you are the art teachers. If your students are spending too much time drawing, they're not demonstrating their knowledge. And although we want to touch on different types of learners, ideally make it a little bit magical, which is magical all by itself, it's best to use existing images to get them moving or demonstrating their knowledge. And then if they have leftover time, they can go back and enhance their project all they want. To that end, as I kind of finish my basic review, when I click on the image library, our clip art are referred to stickers. There's over 10,000 stickers in here. And they're focused K to 8, but we see a lot of spillover at high school. So it really is resources for teaching. There are not 300 pictures of computers and mice and things like that. We also have over 30,000 photos. These are all copyright free because they've been donated by people on a website called Pics for Learning. Right? So if you teach high school or middle school and you want the kids to go get copyright free images, you can just go to the website straight away. You don't have to go to Wixie. Like I said, most pictures have been donated. So those images are also available within here. You can take still shots here under image with the camera as well, or you can go get them from your My Files or Drive. I go back to stickers. I could search. I would really like a bear. There it is. Let's say I don't know how to spell. There's the audio search. You can search by dictation. So basically I click it, bear, and I click there. And you'll find even if there's a lot of noise going around, as long as the kids are facing the microphone when they talk, it'll be the dominant voice. So I did the search. It already had the search results come up, and I'm going to grab this guy here. And I pressed cancel instead of insert. Add. There we go. Modify. Dip it a little bit. You can do different things to it and go from there. You can also use the ellipsis box for copying and pasting and gluing, which then would allow you to paint on it. Because there's the canvas that you paint on it, and a layer where you click and drag stuff above it. So those are the two basic ones. There's also a background behind the paint layer. So if you want kids not to be able to mess stuff up, you can put it in the background. Although I won't get to that, I'll show you where the help menu is. You can get real step-by-step on pretty much everything within Wixie. What's also nice about images is it'll say what it is.
Bear.
Bear. I hope you guys heard that. Not me, but the computer. The Wixie will read all of or any image. This is particularly good for primary teachers, and I know we had at least one reading specialist. If you're doing phonemic awareness, you're doing starting sounds, vowel sounds. If you're doing blends, anything at all. If the kid's not sure what it is, because you're doing a center more than likely with some sort of sorting and sequencing, or it's your engagement, or even exit ticket for the lesson, if they're not sure what something is, they can click it, hear it, and then ideally put it in the right spot. What's also nice about this is if you select, again, handles around it, the edit menu, you can change the caption under edit all text, and you can make it say something else. Now, if the kids decide to type an inappropriate word, it won't say anything. But if I wanted to add a little bit more information, a whole sentence like, "Hi, my name is Scott. I am a bear. I live in the forest," you could do that. But I've also seen where teachers write, they'll do, like if they're doing coins or numbers, they'll have it read a number out, and the kids will have to then generate the number, 1,236 and 42 hundredths. So you can even have it speak to the kids, which they respond to. So a lot of different options with the images, changing what it says, and of course modifying it. And I mentioned the image library. We have the ABCs, which are simple enough, but we also have the blends and the word families, so they move as a single item, really easy to click and drag, as well as the alphabet with the little faces and characters on it for more cutesy things. We got books with subfolders for brown bear, hungry caterpillar, things like that. Again, more elementary-ish. I love the cartoon folder, particularly because of this folder. Middle school, high school, everybody in between. If you are doing bulleted lists and your kids are not presenting, you're just wasting time. And what I mean by that is what kind of rigor is in a bulleted list? Like, do you expect them to go turn around to a performance test in 2 weeks and say, "Oh yeah, I remember that. I made a bulleted list of that information"? There's zero retention. It's like PowerPoint was created as a presentation tool. They pictured business associated people standing in front of groups and giving a presentation based on just a few words on a screen. If a student can do that, that's brilliant. I mean, if they can take 4 words and talk about it for 40 seconds, that's fantastic. But otherwise, your kids are going to need to use the bulleted list as a rough draft, and they need to apply their knowledge. So where I'm going by that is don't tell me, for instance, I'm going to cancel, don't tell me about a planet. So if I want to go in, I'm going to go to image. I happen to know, for instance, that there is a space folder. And then we have these great pictures of the planets. There's Mars. Mars isn't looking too lively. I got to make them bigger, though. Image, back to stickers and cartoons, body faces. Mars does not have eyelashes. Eyeball. Type A. So there's a copy paste here, which is on the toolbar on the right. I know I'm going a little fast. I return to images. I'm going to find a mouth for Mars. Lips. Ooh, handlebar mustache. No, I'm good. So now Mars is ready to talk. So instead of listing about Mars, interview Mars or pretend to be Mars. Hi, because students can add 1 audio recording per page and can last to 5 minutes in length. So when I click this, if I've never used Wixie before on this device, it'll prompt me to allow the microphone to talk to Wixie. It's a web page. So the district firewall is going to prevent that from happening automatically. If the students do it once, next time they use this device, they won't have to do it again. Because it's more of a Wixie talking to your settings or your firewall conditions on your computer, it is easier, in my opinion, for kids to switch devices than it is to fix if they say deny. And you know how we train the kids every time that message comes up, say no, say deny, they don't even read it. So they're going to get a message that says allow the microphone to talk to this web page. I would do it as a group if it's the first time and say, we're going to press allow. And then from now on, we're good. Because again, if they press deny, it's a headache to change. When you click recording, you get a 3-second get ready. Stretch it out, whatever you need to do. And after 3 seconds, you just start talking. You can pause and resume if you want to. This was actually a tool for ESOL students, primarily because if they were doing like a 60-second newscast, maybe it's on social studies, maybe it's a news reporter on the, Boston Tea Party. Maybe, again, you're interviewing an animal in a biome or pretending to be a raindrop in the water cycle. Sometimes in those lengthy recordings that a kid messes up one word, such as, especially when they're learning a second language, they'll have to do the whole thing over again. But the mentality is they can pause, collect their thoughts, and then resume as they want. So I got to stop this. When you do stop it, you can listen to it and try it again or keep it. But even if you keep it, you have the option to trash it and do a new one. Now, this was me pretending to bring Mars. There's no reason I couldn't go ahead under image, and let's just do a good old just a boy. And bring in me. And now it's a Q&A. And you could even allow the kids to work in collaborative teams. 2 computers, same project. Even if a kid's at home sick, one kid can work on it today and the other can contribute at home or when they get back. But now it's a set of Q&As. And how do I know what to ask the planet? Well, the teacher gave me the questions to ask. Right? So that's why a lot of kids like to do it on. So when I see things like interviews or public service announcements, I see the teacher basically going through the lesson objectives for the unit if this is a summative assessment saying they're going to notice this, 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 and this. So if you talk about like colonial Maryland, what was life back then? What were some of the jobs you did, or what was, Baltimore like back then, or as a port or whatnot. So the questions come right from the indicators. And then the other component I want to show, since I'm just rambling on, is our text objects. Now, we're talking about different types of learners here specifically, how to engage them, but also how to allow them to share what they know. First thing you should know is that I have defaulted my font to Open Dyslexic. Open Dyslexic is a font, and I don't get it completely, but apparently the research is there that shows it. Apparently the weighting allows the kids to interpret the wording better and therefore read more fluidly. My oldest has dyslexia. She's on the spectrum, so to speak, of that. And sorry about the noise. And she wasn't really diagnosed till like 4th or 5th grade as, needing that kind of assistance and extra time to read and process. I would imagine that you're working with a kid that may have dyslexia, but you don't know it. So I like to use this a lot when I make my own templates for kids. And of course, when I'm doing different things, thinking there's a chance there's a kid that I'm helping out and we just don't know it yet. So when it comes to, different tangent here, when it comes to possibly customizing your account, all of that would happen under the profile icon in the upper right-hand corner. I click on the profile icon and I come down to settings. And although we're going to come back to like my classes and my students, this one's about me. So I can come down and I can say, all right, there it is, text. What's going to be my default text? So I found Open Dyslexic in it, and now there's no save or anything. Now you just move back to home, and that's your default text. So that's how you can easily do that. Some of the nice things, however, regards to the font, is that although you could type it out, hello. Let's start with that. Hello, my name is Scott. You can also convert to a call-out bubble. So I'm going to bring it a little tighter. I'm going to bring it in smaller. So the font will change based on the shape of the text box or the size of it. Move the tail around. Do I do it? There we go. Now, and again, I'm type A, so we got to center this up a little bit. So you can easily do graphic novels. I think of great things like math directions, like how to do you have any clue? This is a call-out bubble. You can see my image or video. How to convert an improper fraction to a mixed number. And the other boy or girl says, I do, let me show you. And then page 2, which you're starting like basic comic book on how to convert it. First thing you need to do is divide the numerator by the denominator, and that comes up. So think about opportunities to do that. And what's also nice about this, you may say, oh, my kids aren't fast typers. There's a speech to text. Hello, my name is Scott. Today is a sunny day. I really wish I wasn't inside working. I wish I was outside enjoying the nice weather before it gets really cold and rainy and dreary, and life as I know it comes to an end. Sorry. So this came as a column, but I can easily, if I wanted to be it like a back of a postcard. Again, as you resize the box, the font modifies, change it from there, so on and so forth. Now, what's neat about this, I'm not going to do that one, is there is a yellow icon. Now, you may remember how the bear said bear. You guys are nodding your heads with me, right? When I go back to here, it'll read the font, but it highlights each word too.
Hello, my name is Scott.
So it's wonderful. And sometimes you say, is it more important that they know how to write the sentences? I agree it is. But is it equally as important, especially as you look at different type of learners, to be able to notice what's wrong in a passage? Punctuation, missing, capitalization, things like that. I encourage kids after they had to do the talking to listen to it and find mistakes, and then to edit it so that they can close their eyes and listen, or watch while it highlights the words. But it's a big self-editing stage, right? Now, in addition to kids being able to use this to generate, whether it be a poster of some type, whether it to be a graphic novel or whatnot, I also want you to think of opportunities in which you can use this to your advantage. And again, we're now talking about kids who do well when they get to listen. Instead of reading on their own, they're listening. So I might create a 3-page template, and it's going to be some type of story. And on page 1, I've copied and pasted the text from another source, which you can do, or I've typed it out as part of a story. Page 2, more of the story. And what the students do is they go open up page 1 and they have it read to them. They do the little yellow box. So they listen to the story. Maybe it's headphones. Maybe they're just listening. Page 3, another part of the story. Maybe, in fact, it's the ending. So now they've read or listened to the entire story. What am I going to do on page 4? Maybe I'm going to have a retelling of the whole thing. Maybe I've stopped it in the middle and the character is about to do something, and I'm going to record. The kids need to basically record and tell me what they think is going to happen and why. And they can draw a picture of that event or of the story or something like that at it. But I'm basically allowing them to listen to the story and then respond. The old listening centers, right? And this, again, provides all sorts of opportunities to have them do the guided reading. So, again, that ELL or ESAW direction. And if that's not what you guys call it, let me know, because it seems like everybody I talk to has a different acronym these days when it comes to working with kids. English is a second language. But great opportunity to follow those texts along for even the youngest kids as they're learning to read and highlighting the words from there. And again, that was just the microphone icon on top. So we see that icon kind of universally. How are we doing? Because I'm ready to keep going with a little bit more after this. Any questions at this time? You guys are still here, right? My comment about the weather being nice outside didn't distract you? Thank you. Some thumbs up. I appreciate it. All right, here we go. Okay, so we're rocking. Now, if I go back to the planet, by the way, just know that the kids only need to draw one scene, and they can then duplicate that page and do a new recording on the second page. And maybe the question or corresponding or whatever, maybe it's you talking or the question is about like distance from the sun. So you go get an image of the sun and bring it in. So you can customize each page as you go. I have used this sample for years. Carrie was probably in high school when I started using this sample, but it's still by far my favorite example. This comes from a student outside of Philadelphia, Perkins Valley, second grade. They studied dinosaurs in Pennsylvania. And the tech teacher admitted they had been doing, in conjunction with the librarian for the research and the classroom teacher, dinosaur PowerPoints for at least a decade. And again, they didn't present. I just don't get it. Where's the retention? Where's the value? And I said, you've done all the legwork. After all, isn't bulleted list a pre-writing stage? In high school, we would gather information in a bulleted list and then convert it into an outline and write paragraphs, right? And then, yeah, Carrie, I know, but I was still joking. So where is the value in bulleted list? I said, all right, instead, let's talk to the dinosaur. So Jocelyn, this, again, bright little cookie, she ended up doing a presentation, and I just absolutely love her interview.
Hi, my name is Jacqueline, and I am interviewing a dinosaur.
Everybody hear that okay?
So, dinosaur, what is their name and what does it mean? My name is Colophysis, and it means hollow form.
I still love it.
So, Colophysis, how big are you? I am exactly 50 pounds, 8 feet tall, and 10 feet long.
All right, here's my favorite page.
Wow, that's small. But wait, Colophysis, if you're that small, how do you defend yourself? Well, I'm very fast, so I could run away, and I have very sharp teeth and claws. Oh, well, that makes sense.
Did she just banter with the dinosaur? Which is her own voice, but talk about a reflection of understanding and knowledge, right? Just a second, Eve. She basically said, okay, well, if you're that small, how do you defend yourself? So she's kind of understanding that they're small and it's a big dinosaur world out there. And then how do you defend yourself? And then she said, okay, sharp teeth and claws, that's a good thing. That's the kind of stuff you're looking for, the banter in between. Other things I love about this is she typed very few words, but did much longer recordings. I mean, why double dip? Why type and then record? The exception to that would be any kind of a publication. Like if you're writing your own stories, you want to do the text and then yourself reading it. I also love it for poetry. Your kids should be doing poetry in Wixie. Why? Because they can record themselves reading the poem as they picture it being read in their head with the voice inflections or even goofiness or silliness in the way some words are pronounced. So that's a case where I would see all the text plus the recording. So there's the double dip, but otherwise she's doing a few words that involve the answer and everything else comes out in questions. Eve, you want to turn your mic on and ask a question?
I actually just hit the I hit the hand by mistake when I was trying to celebrate her awesome presentation. So thank you.
No worries, Eve. And this is actually a sample you can find within the learning center. Excuse me, it's under 2nd grade. But if you just want your own copy, send me an email, and I can just copy the URL and email it to you. And then you would click on the link, and you guys can't even see where I'm hovering at a link on top. You would click on the link and then open up Wixie and get your own copy. So if you want your own copy, I'd be happy to send it to you. So this is the type of creativity we're looking for. I want kids, again, pretend to be public service announcements, interviews. There's all sorts of rich opportunities. And then when you're ready to take it to the next level, and I paint a picture, we have these things called talkies, and they're under widgets. Has anyone ever used a talkie before? So in my opinion, a couple of people, if you're not using audio recordings in Wixie, you're really not using the product meaningfully. And by that, I mean, you need to start, again, we want to capture the kids' understanding and knowledge, and we want to give them opportunity to share that in different ways. That's where your diverse learnings come into play. So the audio recording can do that. But if you want to add a little bit of creativity and fanciness to it, we have talkies. Now, talkies are animated GIFs in which the mouths move. Now, you may say, oh, that's not that exciting, but check it out. Like when I go into people, here's a pilgrim. What's wild about the mouth movement is it's set to align with the recording volume. So as the recording volume is louder, the mouth opens wider. And as you pause between words, it gets smaller. So it's not blah, 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 blah. It actually goes based on your conversation. So this is my talkie. Again, if you don't select it, you won't see your options. So you got to select and say, okay, do I want to type what it'll say? Do I want to do speech to text? And if you use the typing / speech to text option, you can actually choose a voice, including some British guys and gals, and the speed at which it reads. But you can also just do your own straight up recording, right? Same deal, click record, wait those 3 seconds. Hello, my name's Scott, and I am a pilgrim. The year is 1745, and I am thankful to be here in the colonies. I'm going to keep it. And when I play him, I try it. Watch his mouth. Hello, my name's Scott, and I am a pilgrim. The year is 1745. You guys got him the first time. And what's wonderful is that my subsequent pages could then be, again, questions that you need to answer based on what the teachers told you to do on this page. Okay? If I want, unlike the recording, which is just one per page, I can put multiple talkies on the same page to get multiple audio recordings. And one of my favorite talkies is Mike, the microphone. Now, Mike, he's suave. He blinks, he winks, he kind of has fun. What's wonderful is you could do a recording on the talkie and then do an answer on the pilgrim, which I could make a little bit bigger. Know that talkies read comic book style. First, we draw a line kind of both horizontally and vertical to get like a center point. Based on the center points, it'll read comic book style, top to bottom, and left to right if there's a tie. So, you know, if you want to do question, answer, you can line them up with high and above. Here is my suggestion to you, though. Can you imagine, which you can, close your eyes if necessary, that you've created a template with 4 talkies, and you have, maybe they insert the talkie because there was also a woman pilgrim as well. Regardless, though, you do the recording on the talkie or the microphone asking a question, and they click the character and give you a response. So you've set up the Q&A about as simple as they can get. but they need to respond to your questions based off of your recording. Not a typed direction, nothing like that. It's right here in the recording. So this allows for that structure to happen to, again, get to that more ideally meaningful understanding. Now, if you need to interrupt this kind of presentation with a blank page for them to draw something, you can do that as well. Again, I see kids drawing water cycles and explaining them. I see kids easily talking about needs and wants and the difference between the two. I don't see them telling me about a periodic table element. I could actually see them interviewing one. The same would be true for kind of any processes you would see in like a CTE program, when the kids are trying to, basically go from A to B or A to C or whatever it is, doing a step-by-step sequential thing in an infomercial style, right? So I absolutely love the talkies. So what I would like you to do, spend a minute here. This is where Carrie gets to look to see if people are still participating. But ideally, in the audio world of Wixie, you were getting some ideas of how you could have the kids do a project involving an audio recording. I don't need a grandiose idea. I need kids could interview a pilgrim as your idea, if that's the one you had. Ideally, it would line up with one of the units you're teaching or whatnot. Can you please, in the chat box, share an idea of a project in which kids would record? Again, something simple, just an idea. I mentioned not only, there we go. Mr. Schemmel's all over. There we go. Oh, Black Eye Susan author. That's brilliant. Oh, I love it. Lord or Lady, didn't even think about it. Or they could always pretend to be a Lord or Lady. I think they might think they're high class. That would be cool. You guys see where this is going? I mean, isn't the list endless? And another thing I do want to talk about when it comes in the recording world is artifacts. Anecdotal observations are great and all, but goodness knows parents aren't as trusting as they might have been to teachers, 20 years ago. If I'm teaching fluency, I'm actually assigning a paragraph to kids. So I'm typing 3 sentences and I'm trying to get them to read as much as they can in 60 seconds. And then next month, I'm assigning the exact same passage for a new recording. And the next month, I'm assigning the exact same passage for one more recording. And I'm going into a parent conference /IEP/504 with 3 artifacts of their fluency, ideally progression or static. If nothing's happening, that's a concern. Or if it's even getting worse, like something's going on, maybe you can, help me out. It comes to speech concerns, recording to get their voice for speech. I also like the ability of adding a video file in which you can go ahead and create your own video. And this is great for speech therapists because the kids get, you can see their mouth move. So using these tools for artifacts as well. Can someone remind me how long I have to talk? When is the ending here? Because I need to transition to the
It ends at 3:10.
Thank you, Mr. Ron. All right, because I need to move to the management side of things. So these are kind of all ideas here. Know that there's ways to add, for instance, when you go to the clipboard, to add instructions. So instead of typing directions on the page, you can put them over here. But this also gives you your own teacher 5-minute recording. So we're enabling kids, and this is one of the things I dislike, particularly about computer labs, but anywhere, is a teacher doing a lesson where everybody follows along together to complete the task. And so the kid who knows what they're doing, she has to sit there waiting for the next thing. And do you think they get disrupted for a reason? They get disrupted because sometimes they're just bored, right, when it comes to that. So if you have something sequentially set up, the kids and their various skills can progress at their own rate, ideally independently, and then you can move around and help the kids that have even greater needs or need some reassurance or whatnot. So even if you're assigning blank pages to kids, you could, again, put instructions here, add your own recording, and you can also hyperlink here. So middle school, high school, intermediate grades, I mean, you could have a graphic organizer page with a hyperlink that works right here, and the kids can toggle between the internet page and your graphic organizer to gather information. Then on page 2, 3, 4, and 5, they do an interview, because they have their information right there. It's not on a piece of paper, but it's in Wixie itself. The big thing when using instructions with blank pages is be sure to open to instructions, or the kids just see blankness, and I'm sure they'll sit there patiently and wait for you to explain. Otherwise, when you open to instructions, at least they see what the directions are on the side. So now that we've kind of talked about that, and again, we've talked about opportunities to use text and audio for different ways to share. Of course, imagery can be a huge part of this as well. There's a variety of different learning styles that can be addressed by this. Let's talk about enabling the kids, and again, through assigning templates so they don't have to start from scratch, or examining student work. If this was my template, this 4-pager, You can actually go to the file menu after I give it a name, Pilgrim interview. I can go to the file menu and assign it. Now you can assign from 3 different locations. The menu looks the exact same in all 3. So when I click assign, I probably have a pull down menu. Which class is going to get this? So if I'm going to say Mr. Loomis's class is. Do I want all kids to get it? Or if I made it for different groups and I want these 2 plus these 3 to get it, so you can choose all or some. When do you want them to get the template? That's the most important time. If it is today and the kids are in front of you and you're just having one of those mornings, just tell them to wait a second, because the moment you press save is the moment they get the assignment. They may have to refresh Wixie, but it's not like they have to wait overnight to get it. So it'll happen instantly if today is the first date. It just may take a moment to process. The end date isn't really critical. It's based, and it usually defaults to a month. It's basically saying if that file never gets opened in 30 days, it'll go away. And the bottom, or the kind of gist of it, is that student probably is not in school. They're not opening it. So it's kind of just so they don't come back and there's like 20 activities. So it will go away, but the end date isn't critical. The date here, choosing your class. You can even go by grades, media special. If you want to go to all the 3rd graders, you can do 3rd graders. No problem. So if you have 4 3rd grade classes you work with, just boom, all 3rd graders. And that was under view. I am going to save this just to give you an idea what we're talking about with the kids and log out, log back in. You'll see the assignment, the very first thing at the top of the page. So they don't have to navigate or click here, click here. And you can see their menu looks similar to yours too. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to pretend I added recordings, but just get some imagery on it. And when I go back to home as the student, you'll see it's no longer on top because I have my own copy of that now. You can make changes to the template in which the kids will see in the assignment until the moment they open it. Once they open it, they get their own copy. But if you assign it tonight for tomorrow and then realize this evening or tomorrow morning you want to make a small change, you can do that because no one's opened it up yet. But once they open it, you can make changes, but it won't trickle down to them because they already got their copy. I hope that makes sense. So that's kind of how that rolls. So now that the student has done something, students, back to my teacher account. If I select students, I have the ability to see their work. So I go ahead and I choose the class and I go to Jamie and there's hers. You click on an icon to see their work. If there's audio recordings, you can listen to them. If there's multiple pages, you can move through them just like I can here. You want to do 2 things when you look at kids' work. First, mark it as complete. Why? Because that's basically saying you don't want the kids to edit it. You particularly won't want to do it as like an IEP or a big grade, a big project grade, I think in 8th grade science again, and then have the kids modify it afterwards. And then for the younger kids, it's a matter of messing it up too. The last thing you want to say, I can't wait to show this to mom and dad in 2 weeks, and the kid destroys it. But if you mark it as complete, it's like they turn it in and it goes static. You can't change it. You can change your mind and let them work on it again. But I encourage you to mark it as complete and then add a comment to it. And the comment will show up on the right-hand side where all those paint tools are. You have the ability as well to add it to your own showcase. And this gives you a copy of that file in your account. Even when the kid goes away, you'll still have that copy. So like you can show next year's kids some of the samples, as ideas to get them started if necessary. You can print for students. They can print as well, depending on how your account's set up. But what's wonderful is that if you're doing those graphic novels, don't partition the page. If you just have 7 pages open, you could choose to print the first 4 pages on one sheet, and then it would do like the next 3 on the next piece of paper. So it divide it all by itself. Comic books is 6 per page, or trading cards. Your kids, someone mentioned vocabulary activities. If you do 1 page, maybe it's a famous Marylander, maybe it's an element from the periodic table, maybe it's a specific tool or feature, and you decide you want to do, it would actually say duplicate here. If you duplicate it, and it's not available because my project has multiple pages, but if it's 1 page, you can choose trading card and it'll print 9 of it. So you print up 2 or 3 sheets, you slice them up, or scissors, or parent volunteers, and the kids can go around trading. You get a class set. Now you're rock and rolling if the kids do with something with their set, but I even love this for like get to know each other at the end of the year. Everyone does a card about themselves, a couple things they like, they go around the trade, they get a Ziploc bag. This is the kids in my class. So opportunities like that, but just know the print options are there. They are diverse, and you can at any point go to the profile icon and come down to help and get step-by-step directions on anything. For instance, if I look at specifically, like I'm going to go to objects here, there's a way, believe it or not, to code music with text-to-speech options. So instead of it saying bear, it would actually pay like a D or an F sharp or something like that. So anything you want is here with imagery, step by steps. So if I wanted to do collaboration, because I member to a project, you can basically see this little video overview here, or in other cases, if it's not a video, it will be step to step by imagery. So if I needed more information on printing is where it's going there, just go to the help menu. I would then see under students, I could go to the next student. And actually, if I go to like third grade, if I'm looking at their things that are most in the world, which Wixie does great for literature extension. So any kind of repetitive book you can add on to. This goes to Math Curse, which can be used as a K-12 book because they use algebra or calculus stuff towards the end of that book. Things, science, things are faster, stronger, whatever for different types of animals. They can create their own page, and you would just move from kid to kid selecting the different project. What's also nice, and this one's going to be a quick review because I definitely watched the time, is you could go ahead and say, I want to show projects by name. So I'm going to go ahead and say project name. I'm going to say I want things that are most. It's that title of the project. So there's the most for Elsa. There's the most for Danielle. There's the most for Alejandra. But I want to see them all. So this is all of them. I want to select them all. They're all highlighted. And then I want to upload them into a single project. I don't want to print them. I want to go ahead and do a book. No, I don't want a book, actually, because a book makes you put it into a form, and it means it shrinks it. So I'm going to go ahead and say I want to upload it into just a Wixie project. Creating project, things that are most in the world, I would have retitled it. In my account, I'm now taking one from each kid in my class and making it into a class project. And I can obviously show it, share it, social media. But right now, I just want to open it. And there it is. And I happen to know that it could use a title page and that there is the saddest thing in the world. Because things that are most is a book on superlatives. I can just click and drag it to the bottom. So I can rearrange it as I want. But now I have a single class which I could share the URL out to parents to see. Speaking of parents to see, you have the ability, if you want, I'm going to talk about is the family share option. Basically, if you were opening up a kid's project and a parent had agreed, they've actually subscribed for it, under the ellipsis tabs, you can actually, under the share tab, you can actually share it to their family so the parents would get a link to this project just by you clicking the button. So it could be something you're proud of. It could be something that shows concern. It could be, again, I think primary cutesy stuff like what I'm thankful for at Thanksgiving, or maybe an I love you thing at Mother's or Father's Day or Valentine's Day. You can do all sorts of things. But students or parents can register to see stuff that teachers want to share within Wixie. And how do they do that? I'm looking at one of my classes. I know I covered so much. I'm going to put my email up too. So you email me with questions. I'm happy to help. I'm going to go ahead and click on printables in the bottom left-hand corner. And I can do this family communication. I have 9 students in my class. There are 9 sheets, each one with specific to a student, and each with a QR code that's specific to that student. And when someone was to scan the code, they would get a simple first name, last name, email, and now they'll see anything for this student because, again, the QR code is unique. So I could print out my class and send them home. And this way, if parents are divorced, get both parents, they can sign up. They don't have to share between each other. If you have a grandma that watches the kids after school every day, they can be included. So you can easily do things. And students under file and share could actually share to their family on their own. So if they made a birthday cake and sang happy birthday to grandma on their own, they could share that with the family, which ideally would include grandma. So I love the family share, just briefly talking about it. The other thing in the finale, so to speak, the direction I want to talk about is pre-made templates. There are almost 4,000 templates now, and they're divided into 2 groups. There's the curriculum activities. These templates have kind of an obvious content connection. Like we can see a lesson objective that applies to computation or to comprehension. It could go into, again, sciences for life cycles or matter or whatnot. We see social emotional. Someone said they kind of do that stuff. All these great social emotional digital citizenship. So these are here. The design templates, we don't know what you're going to do with. And there are just as many here as the other one. For instance, if I go into math, when I taught 5th grade, we did explorers. Right? Some of them were still live. You go interview them. I'm joking. But we would do explorer cubes. I've seen people do character cubes. I've seen people actually put shapes on it and numbers and do like regular old probability cubes. We don't know what you're going to do with this. That's why it's under general. And that's why it's under the design templates. We don't know what you're going to do. There are some great design. You go into the general one, and there's a snow globe. Who knows what you're going to decorate? We see choice boards everywhere. And these choice boards should start to scream out, because what they do is they provide kids options to choose how they want to share their knowledge, which again gets into different types of learners. So if this is a field trip choice board, share highlights via a postcard. This is a hyperlink. It'll take you to the postcard template. Design a t-shirt, write a journal entry, tell others why they should visit it, bulletin board, a souvenir snow globe, a complete reflection map. Now, I can assign this as is, as you can with all templates, same menu. You could actually try it if you feel happy manipulating it. You can get a little feel for what's involved. You can actually get your own copy and then modify the copy one. Like I may in my head decide no one's doing the snow globe. It's lame. No one's doing a t-shirt. I could customize and actually delete these components and then assign it to the kids with my choice of 4. But you're going to see this in comprehension. You're going to see this everywhere, these choice boards of 4 or 6 that allows the kids to not only buy in, but could address specific a strength of theirs when it comes to sharing what they know. If you like this template but aren't ready to use it now, you can add it to your favorite. All you got to do is click that heart. When you go back to the home page, you go to favorites. There it is, first thing. Some of the ones I want to point out under language arts, I mean, any kind of center station when it comes to, I think, of reading and comprehension, alphabetic principle, comprehension, we'll just start there. I mean, these are all ready to go when it comes to sorting for sounds or blends or of course, vowel sounds, hard G's, soft G's, you name it, rhyming words. I go back to curriculum activities, go back to language arts. We see, I could have just done backup here, all these comprehension activities as well. Now, do you have to use it as is? No, open this bad boy up and modify it for any even subject area if you just like the components involved. So I could just go back to reading here. Tons and tons of things. My contact information. Now, here's the deal. In the old days, I used to go visit people and do trainings with groups of people. So if you were an individual teacher or you had a colleague that was interested, in this case in Wixie, it would be really hard to do it because virtual wasn't so good and a lot of people didn't like it. And then COVID hit. So one kind of saving grace is it's super easy to do a virtual review with someone. If your art teacher is interested in doing portfolios, give them my number and have them shoot me an email. I'll be happy to meet with them. If they've never used Wixie, that first conversation can take 20 or 25 minutes, but these conversations are intended to be like helping, shortness. We're talking about 10 minutes, right? If I went too fast, which I did, I gave you a lot of things to consider to see what might resonate that you're going to gravitate towards, then go ahead and say, Scott, I was interested in this. You went kind of fast. Can we just look at that? Or, hey, I'm about to do this unit of instruction, or my grade level is about to do this level. Can you give me some ideas or show me some existing resources? You know, again, I don't have to travel. I mean, honestly, I'm still in my pajama bottoms right here. You just can't tell. I got the dress shirt on top. But have the ability easily to contact me via email. I said I live in Maryland, so I'm here in your East Coast time zone. And with that, we can see Carrie has chimed in, said she's got to go. She's busy. She's got something else. But you need to be sure to sign in to the attendance log. And if you have any questions, jump on now. If you have any comments, personally, I thank you so much for joining me. Again, I know this is a quick meeting, but or a quick kind of pace, but I hope you have something that you're resonating and want to gravitate towards. And you are most welcome. Thank you, guys. But yeah, definitely hit the registration, the attendance, file there, because that's huge. You want to get credit. You were here. Anybody got a question? Anybody got an idea they want to share? If you're talking, your microphone muted still. Sorry, I'm a little punchy towards the end of the day. All right, you're hitting that attendance sheet, you're signing in, and then of course you're heading out. Sarah, any questions? Oh, no, she's gone.